my memories of what happened here were horrible, and I just couldn't imagine, what the early news reports had said, that if a 7.0 earthquake had actually hit here, how awful it would be. And so I was really just wishing, there were false reports, that something this cruel couldn't happen again to these people in Haiti. 5 minutes from the airport, we saw people, rescuing family, already deceased family members from rubble. And it just got worse as you went up into downtown Port-au-Prince. And how do you tell a story of this magnitude? Everywhere you looked, something horrific was happening. People were, they were already in a daze. They didn't know, what had happened, and there were people riding on scooters with their kids bandaged up, homemade bandages on scooters, trying to find a place for somebody to take care of them. Guys digging through rubble for their little sisters and pulling out their bodies and laying them on the side of the road and putting, sheets over them, just to show a little bit of respect. But, many people, with homemade bandages trying to find some place to get, proper care. We're walking on the sides of the streets. And then rubble everywhere. One building after another crushed to the ground.
The magnitude of the whole earthquake didn't hit me until we got to the hotel. And when I opened the door to the car, I saw dead bodies, and one of the bodies that I saw was that of a child. He must have been around 13, 14 years old. And at that point I said, what did I get myself into?
I remember coming off the plane and seeing some of the earthquake survivors being evacuated. Within 3 steps of jumping off Medishare's private jet. There is a white pickup truck with 2 people, an Asian woman and a Haitian, and they both are in pain. And right there I knew the scale of this. This was not just something, somehow the disaster came to me before I got to it. I became a journalist to tell stories, but the stories keep rushing at you like darts, and you have to take them, because that's the least that you can do. I kind of describe it, each aspect of my personality as being a floor, and watching my personality kind of collapse on itself, and it left me somewhat in a rubble.
You've been to Haiti before, and
Right.
You've seen a lot of violence and tragedy and death here.
Right.
So you were somewhat more prepared than
I don't think so.
The difference between stills and video is that you're looking at moving images, so it's
And sound.
and sound and listening to sound. So it's a different experience. When was the moment as you were looking at those moving images and listening to the sound? Was there a moment in the images where you thought, "My God, where it hit you? The magnitude of it all hit you"?
I think that the point at which I started to lose it was when we went to the morgue. Pat, Farrell, Frenchie, and myself went to the morgue and saw the. It was like I don't know how many blocks, a block, 2 blocks, just bodies all over the place. And at that point, I decided that it was a very quiet scene, which was surprising. You expect to hear a lot of noise, but it was very quiet, and I couldn't stand the quietness of it all, so I turned on my iPod. I had to listen to music. I couldn't deal with it.
Generally, when Haiti struck with a state of emergency, it tends to be the same cast of characters. This one, You know, pain was just spread like peanut butter on a piece of bread all over the place. You couldn't escape it.
Can you ask her how long the boy's been waiting for help? I want to know how long, what's wrong with
I
the boy?
knew that life here in Haiti was hard. It was a difficult life. But again, this earthquake just multiplied the difficulty by 20 or more. And I just wasn't prepared to see the amount of death that I saw. I wasn't prepared to see the amount of suffering. And I wasn't prepared to see the amount of courage and the amount of resilience that I saw. I'm in awe of the Haitian people.
Were you apprehensive to come back a month later? Were you afraid that it was still going to, are you surprised by what you're seeing a month later? Or?
I would say I think things have come along a lot quicker than I thought, but there's way so much to do. And I wasn't apprehensive to come back because I thought that, and even in the first place, I don't think I was, my apprehension was, I don't want to see another disaster. And I don't think the weight's on our shoulders as journalists, but other parts of the world should know about this, Other people around the world should know about it. And, that's our job, is to try to inform.
I see a sense of normalcy returning. The streets and people are stopping for the light. That's something that didn't even happen prior to this. And there's a sense of, look, of, at least in my humble opinion, there's a sense of, we've been through this and we'll get to it one more time.
Les splendeurs de son ciel, je retirerai